And God said, "Let the earth bring forth grass, the herb yielding seed, and the fruit tree yielding fruit after his kind, whose seed is in itself."
The creation is created with seed in itself. The grass, the herb, and the fruit tree all generate seeds that sprout into new grass, herbs, and fruit trees without end. By creating creatures with seeds in themselves, the Creator has introduced an automatic regenerative element to his creation, sparing himself from having to perpetually recreate it. By the time the first generation of plants and animals die, they will have already seeded a new generation. Seed is created in abundance, ensuring biological continuity despite of waste. Out of thousands and thousands of acorns, only one need germinate for the oak to continue. The human organism, too, has seed in itself. Its seed, too, is abundant, and the majority of its seed, too, is wasted. In the case of mankind, as with all other species, quantity compensates for waste. But of all creation, the human species alone has the possibility of creating something that will outlive it, not only in the form of external offspring. The microcosmos man can use this same regenerative energy to effect a different kind of birth, or rather, a rebirth. It alone can use sex energy to generate a higher self. For this special regeneration, the waste that is normally allowed and accounted for in physical regeneration must be curbed. Therefore, to study the principles of sex and regeneration within the microcosmos, we begin by studying its waste.
All centers rob the sex center of its energy and produce with this energy quite wrong work, full of useless excitement.
Sex energy is wasted in our day-to-day activities through each of the 4 lower centers. Since it is a finer and more volatile energy than required for their normal functioning, this waste is characterized by an unnecessary vehemence and uselessness in each function. Sex energy intensifies the intellectual center's normal interest in ideas into debate and argument. Vehement political discussion in which one point of view fiercely fights another is an example of sex energy leaking through intellectual activity. Sex energy exaggerates the moving center's regular movements into haste and unnecessary exertion. Turning a doorknob with exaggerated pressure, or fiddling with one's hands or feet impatiently, are leaks of sex energy through the moving center. Sex energy pushes the instinctive center's territorial tendencies into areas that have nothing to do with self-preservation, such as in competitive sports. Sex energy amplifies the emotional center's reactions into excessive laughter or negativity. In fact, negative emotions such as fear, judgment, or irritation are the largest waste of sex energy in the microcosmos, which is why they are so prevalent.
The energy of the sex center in the work of the thinking, emotional, and moving centers can be recognized by a particular taste, by a particular fervor, by a vehemence which the nature of the affair concerned does not call for.
The avenues through which we are accustomed to expel sex energy form our habits. These are eyes fueled by a particularly strong energy, which means they come with a stronger sense of identity, a stronger sense of I. In other words, from the point of view of our aim to avoid identification, to be, these are particularly difficult groups of I's. The flowing of sex energy through these difficult groups of I's follows the pattern of waste characteristic to all nature. It is only in those individuals who aim to use sex energy for inner work that this waste must be curbed. Once we do set this aim, the challenge of curbing these habits or difficult groups of I's is like the challenge of shifting the course of a massive and well-established river. It is much more difficult than shifting a small stream, but the potential energy generated is proportionately greater.
It is necessary to know the human machine very well in order to grasp what abuse of sex, in the real meaning of these words, is. It means the wrong work of centers in relation to sex. That is, the action of the sex center through other centers.
Elimination is natural and comes with a sense of relief. Resisting elimination goes against nature and places our microcosmos under pressure. This is the very pressure portrayed in the Hindu myth of the churning of the Milky Ocean, a pressure indispensable for generating our higher self. Habits are particular to each person, but the elimination of sex energy through habits is common to all. Therefore, to conserve sex energy and use it for transformation, each must study their own particular leaks, which brings us to this week's exercise. Which groups of I's are particularly difficult for me to separate from? These are my rivers of elimination, my greatest challenge and, at the same time, my greatest opportunity. If I learn to observe and separate from them, I will be freeing valuable energy that will then become available for my aim to be.